Okay, we want to address some of the questions that came up during the presentation. And we don't have a lot of questions, but as always, you gave us some humdingers of a question, some good ones here. Andy asked, and Jerry, you'll have to know what he's talking about here. Does this use the DX4 print head?
Right. He's referring to the Epson print heads. All of the Muto printers use Epson heads, which are the best in the industry. This actually uses a much more advanced and more recent head, which is the Epson DX7, which, by the way, is the same one used in Muto's new UV printer. So it is a top-of-the-line, state-of-the-art machine.
Very good. Now, Stephen asked, how much does the ink, the Cmyk, cost per square foot? And I know that you have this all broken down for us.
Right. Well, it really depends in part on the print you're doing, because as I referenced earlier, there are different wave print patterns and different print modes, and those will increase or decrease the saturation. So obviously, if you're using something with a very tight wave pattern with 16 passes, you're going to be putting down more ink and using more ink. If you're printing at maximum speed and you have a lighter ink coating, you're going to be using less. The average is about 25 cents per square foot. So for planning purposes or cost containment purposes, if you're planning your jobs and you want to price them accordingly or price them effectively, you want to put in a cost of about 25 cents per square foot for the ink.
Very good. Now, this is a timely question. This is the hottest thing right now. Todd asks, can you use this printer to label those Yeti-style stainless steel cups?
Ah, the Yeti cups. Not a day goes by that we don't get a question about Yeti cups. As a matter of fact, we've been doing some testing here internally this week. There will be a blog article about this next week, but we have we have discovered that you can decorate Yeti cups with our products, and this would be a good application for that, especially because, as we mentioned earlier, the inks are waterproof. The trick here is that the Yeti cups have a stainless steel coating, and they're a little bit resistant to adhesives. And so what you want to do is, if you're using a vinyl with a solvent adhesive, it's going to work pretty well. If you're using a vinyl with an acrylic adhesive, you're going to need to give it a little bit more time. So for instance, if you're printing on PrismJET 203 or 201, those have an acrylic adhesive. So what I would recommend is that you use transfer tape, do the print and cut operation, mask it with transfer tape, apply it to the Yeti mug, and let it sit for about 20 minutes before you remove the tape or try to take that off, so that you give the adhesive ample time to wet out with that stainless steel Yeti mug, and then you're going to have a good application. The other thing you want to keep in mind is that these are something of a compound curve, in that the mug gets larger as it goes from bottom to top. So if you're going to be doing a fairly thick graphic that kind of wraps around the mug, you're going to want to use a more conformable vinyl, such as the PrismJET 230 Ultra, which is an ultra-counted vinyl which is used for vehicle wraps. That's going to give you very good adhesion, very good conformability, and again, you want to basically mask that with some medium tack tape and leave it in place for about half hour before you take the tape off. And then the other thing to keep in mind is that Yeti mugs are not designed for dishwashers. There's a warning inside that says do not put it in the dishwasher.
Right.
So these are going to be hand washed, and of course these are not going to be, these prints will not be damaged at all by normal hand washing. So there is an application for that.
You know, and I just like the spirit of Todd's question, because you know, we talked about the versatility of these printers, and that it's a growing market. As new products come out there, I like the spirit of someone says, hey, I think I can make that. And with this printer, that's certainly a possibility. I know you have another question over there.
We've got a few more that are coming in. JR asks about the grommets. We've got a few more, actually. They've coming in pretty quickly here. We have a question, what is the daily or weekly maintenance procedure? That's a very good question. This is an eco-solvent ink printer, so it's fairly easy to maintain. However, we do recommend that you print something about every other day. There's actually a test pattern in the RIP that you can run. It just looks like some jelly beans. And it doesn't use up much ink, but enough to kind of keep everything flowing smoothly. So if you do that once every other day, then everything's going to be good. It's going to run smoothly. You're not going to have any clogged nozzles or anything of the kind. If you don't print with it for like 2 or 3 weeks at a time, you are going to have some maintenance problems, and you're going to have some clogged nozzles and some other issues. So.
And I was going to say, we already have some videos as far as maintenance and cleaning at our tech site too. So we'll be glad to show you how to take care of some of that maintenance as you go.
Okay, here's a question from JR. JR asked, will grommets run through the printer like your 48-inch printer? That's a very good question. And the answer to that is unfortunately not. The VJ48 has a unique feature in that there are tracks in the platen that will allow the grommets to pass through, and you pull those out when you're loading the special Muto ready-to-print pre-grommeted banner material. That is, by the way, the only banner material you can use in that printer because the banners are designed for that application. Now, what you can do, however, we do have a Muto ready-to-print banner material that's not pre-grommeted, but it is pre-hemmed, and there's one that's 24 inches wide. So you could use the 24-inch Muto ready-to-print version that is hemmed but not grommeted and run that through your PrismJET VJ24 printer.
And did you have any other questions over there?
There is one. Do you have to load all 8 ink slots to use a printer? And the answer to that is yes, you do. You must have all 8 ink cartridges loaded before it will run. And one of the other nice things about that, again, we reference the VSM. The VSM will alert you if there's anything wrong with any of the cartridges, and it will tell you which one needs to be addressed if it's low or if it's out or whatever. So that is a nice feedback that you get from the software, but you do have to have all 8 ink cartridges loaded at all times.
All right. And Jerry, I think I have time for one more question if you have one handy.
Okay. Can you, well, here's one. Do you have to laminate small car decals? That's a good question. You should always laminate anything that you put on a vehicle because decals put on cars are going to be subjected to detergents and gasoline and dirt and grime. You can put a printed decal on a car without laminating, but what's going to happen is it's going to become dingy and it's going to fade or wear prematurely. It's always the best practice to laminate anything that you put on a vehicle or on a floor or anything like that where you're going to have abrasion or chemicals or any of that kind of exposure to the ink.
All right, and with that, we're going to go ahead and wrap up this webinar. We apologize if we didn't get to your question, but we can still continue the conversation, though.
That's right. I will try to respond to all remaining questions through the email address that you used to register. We also want to invite you to a more detailed discussion of the VJ24X, which introduces light cyan, light magenta, white, and silver metallic ink to this already impressive printer. That webinar is tentatively scheduled for April 26th, so keep an eye out for the official invitation.
And remember, if you missed anything or want to share the information covered today with your team, this webinar will be archived before the week's end at signwarehouse.com/TV.
And if you'd like more information or a print sample so you can see for yourself the exceptional print quality and some of the exciting things you can do with the PrismJET VJ24, I'll be happy to provide a VJ24 sample kit or provide a one-on-one consultation. Just email me at jerry.barracks@signwarehouse.com.
That's right, and we have the spelling on your screen there. For Jerry and myself, thank you again for attending and enjoy the remainder of your week.